Well, welcome everybody to the Curve webinar, February 2021. We'll be talking today about traceable fibers and sustainability in fashion. So thank you all for being here again. And our speakers today are Erica Red, Business Development Manager with Lenzing Fibers, Inc. Cheryl Zukowski leads the marketing function at Unify, Inc., manufacturer of Reprieve, and Gonzalo Pertile, Director of Corporate Social Responsibility for Madewell. So we're going to start off with Erica and give you a little fun fact about her. She has a very spoiled Siberian Husky who loves snow and the beach and also has her own Instagram account. So for over 80 years, Lenzing has been looking beyond fiber. With wood as their natural resource, Lenzing solutions are as inventive as they are effective when it comes to their partner's success, the planet's protection, and people's needs in everyday life. Lenzing's fibers are botanic products derived from renewable sources and processed with unique resource-conserving technologies. Tencel, lyocell, and modal fibers help maintain the environmental balance by being integrated into nature's cycle. So Erica, what exactly is Tencel?
Hi, Camille. Thank you for having me today. Thank you for the introduction. And yes, thank you for talking about my husky, Neela. She's very spoiled and she's very popular in New York. She has way more Instagram followers than I do, and people recognize her off the street. So it's always fun whenever I'm with her. So yeah, what is Tencel? We get asked this question a lot. So Tencel is actually the brand name for Lenzing's traceable modal and lyocell fibers. So our headquarters is in Lenzing, Austria. We were founded in 1938. You can see on this slide here, this is actually the background of where our headquarters is. So where the fiber production, where it says forest, wood, and pulp, that's covering up actually where our headquarters is. And the background here is where The Sound of Music was filmed. So it's a really cool place to visit if you haven't been to Lenzing, Austria. So we make around 1 million tons of fiber annually. We make Tencel lyocell, Tencel modal, and Lenzing EcoVero viscose. And we make man-made cellulosic fibers, which are also known as MMCFs. We make these out of wood. So we start with wood, as you can see with the forest down there. We break this up into wood chips. From the wood chips, we further break that down into a wood pulp, which you can see here. So when it's in this wood pulp stage, we add a solvent to it and it's going to become like a honey consistency. So it's really interesting. It's going to start looking like this. And when it's in this stage, we're able to add a fiber identification into the honey consistency. And one of my most commonly asked questions is, well, what is the fiber identification? It's top secret. I'm so sorry, I cannot tell you what it is. But from this stage, we spin this through spinnerets. And from there, we actually get our fiber. So this is what we sell. It's Tencel modal, Tencel lyocell, Tencel refibra, and our Lenzing EcoVero viscose. And that's a little bit about what Tencel is. You can see on this slide some of our certifications. So FSC, PEFC, part of Canopy, the dark green shirt, etc. So that's a little bit about us.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have there's a little echo here. I love the fact that it's actually a natural fiber because it comes from wood pulp. And when I tell people that anyway, they go, wow, I never thought about that. So it's
really it's crazy that you can make fiber out of wood pulp. And we go into both non-woven and textiles as well.
Right. Okay.
And then this slide is just, sorry. I was going to say this slide is just a little bit about our fiber portfolio and some of our brand names that go along. So our viscose is branded under EcoVero and our modal and lyocell is branded under Tencel.
Very good. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you. So let's now go to Cheryl. Her passion lies in driving change and challenging paradigms for long-standing industries and holds an MBA in marketing. And a little fun fact for her that I just found out was she loves to sing karaoke. So we'll find that out more later sometime. So Unify is the manufacturer of Reprieve. It's a recycled polyester made from recycled plastic bottles. Cheryl and her team advocate for sustainability in textiles and the importance of recycling through development of joint branding campaigns with global partners in a variety of industries. So Cheryl, tell us something about Reprieve.
Well, Reprieve is made from recycled plastic bottles, and we collect those plastic bottles globally. We're a global company. Unify is a global company. Our headquarters are here in North Carolina, so we have a facility where you can actually see bales of plastic bottles that we've purchased from MRFs up and down the East Coast, and then we process those and to make Reprieve fiber. So it's a pretty great process to see. And we welcome anyone who'd like to see the process. We invite everyone to come visit us when it's safe to do so. So we hope to have a lot of visitors to come tour our facilities.
Oh, I love that. So do you work with a lot of different outside people to gather the plastic bottles, and is it a whole, so it must be a really big process to do that.
So we typically purchase from waste companies. So we work with, for example, Waste Management and Republic, and they're the folks who will send the trucks along to come and pick up your curbside recycling or pick up recycling from different municipal facilities. And then they transport that recycling, they sort it into whatever's been from whatever was in the bin. So they'll sort it into cardboard and glass and different types of plastic. And then we purchase in bulk those giant bales of plastic from those providers.
Okay, thank you. So let's move on to Gonzalo. And Gonzalo leads the environmental sustainability and social impact efforts for Madewell. A fun fact about Gonzalo is that he's an identical twin brother and was born and raised in Uruguay. So Madewell is a premium denim brand for women and men that focuses on jeans and all the things to wear with them. The brand's goal is to make the planet better for its people and places by focusing on meaningful sustainable initiatives. Their programs assist in making jeans last longer and out of landfills, and they are aiming for 100% of key fibers sustainability sourced and free of non-cycled plastics by 2025. Gonzalo, so tell us about Madewell and their sustainability goals. Give us a little bit more insight on that.
Absolutely, Camille. So at Madewell, we believe that brands should always have a positive impact on the environment and the communities where they work with. So last year, early 2020, we worked on releasing our public CSR commitments, our sustainability commitments that you see here. And as you just mentioned, we are transitioning into having 100% of our key fibers sustainably sourced and free of virgin plastics by 2025. And this covers our 5 main key fibers that are cotton, nylon and polyester, wool, leather, and cellulosic fibers. And that those 5 fibers cover 90% of the fibers that we procure by volume. So we know that by addressing those 5 key items, we are absolutely focusing on identifying and working on transitioning those fibers into more sustainable sources, which have the largest impact on our supply chain. But we also work on other fronts. We partnered with Fair Trade in 2018, and we started certifying our garment factories under fair trade practices. So we're also focusing on having more than 90% of our denim fair trade certified also by 2025. And similarly, looking into our own operations, we knew that we have to make changes there also. So we're transitioning our packaging into 100% sustainable packaging and free also of virgin plastics by 2025 also. And the goal that we have that has a different time frame right now is carbon neutrality for our operations. So we are aiming at being carbon neutral for our own and operated facilities. So that covers scope 1 and scope 2 emissions. And we are achieving this, we're aiming to achieve this by 2030. As I said before, we are also focused on our communities, and the last bucket of our goals that we have is really making sure that we're able to repair, reuse, and recycle our products, and creating opportunities for denim to stay away from landfills. And we are partnering with different organizations there, and we're really proud to stand up for causes that we also believe in. So this is something that started, as I said, in 2018, this focus on sustainability. And Madewell was founded in 2006. We were originally a high quality apparel company, but then in 2013 was when we pivoted into focusing on denim, and knowing that denim production is one of the most challenging items to really produce sustainably, we knew that we had to make serious changes to the way that we approached our business. So that's why we really started focusing on sustainability and incorporating sustainability into every single part of our business.
So let me ask you, have the customers written in for the sustainable fabrics and garments that you make? What kind of customer do you really have? I know that's a younger customer, but I mean, anybody could wear your things. So it just seems to me that there's been such an impact on that and how people are buying and dressing these days.
Yeah, well, we're definitely a community-driven brand, and we have a very active and engaged customer. So we always listen and really respond to the things that our customers ask. So we know that our customer has an appetite for sustainability, that they care about the environment and also the people that are in our supply chain. So that's why we continue to develop and invest in making changes to our product, but also working with our current supply chain to make sure that we're able to provide them better livelihood opportunities. So these are all things that are coming from listening to our customers, engaging with them, and really knowing what they want and acting upon it also.
Right. And also, there's been many trends that were popping up pre-COVID, and they were accelerated by the pandemic. So when you launched the MWL line, which stands for Make Weekends Longer, I love it, in October of 2020, were you influenced by the pandemic and the work from home culture?
Well, the idea for MWL was really planned way before COVID, but as the pandemic unfolded and things and the challenges were coming and people were staying more at home, we heard our customer also. They were requesting more comfortable clothes, stay at home, and we accelerated the development of this new athleisure category that we were already planning way ahead, but it really took off, knowing that people were spending more time at home. They were looking for comfy, carefree, that sense of extra day off at home with comfortable, breathable clothes. We knew that it was a great moment for us to launch that. And the good thing about this MWL, Made Weekends Longer, is that we're also using sustainable materials in every single product. So that's why we're partnering with Reprieve and also with Lensing using Tencel Modal. So all the items that are part of our MWL collection have some sort of sustainability attribute to them as well. Not only they're comfy, they're also taking care of the environment.
Cool. So Erica and Cheryl, I presume you have lists of companies that actually make the fabrics using your fibers. So do you reach out to Gonzalo and other people, and how does that work? Well, Cheryl, let's go with you.
Yeah, so we have a sales force that goes out and talks to apparel brands and all sorts of other brands who are making products that meet consumer needs and their consumer needs. We work directly with mills all over the world who use a variety of fibers to knit or weave fabrics that folks like Gonzalo use to make their new and innovative lines. So we work with folks both directly and also kind of downstream, as we call it, which are the brands like Madewell.
Right. Okay. And how about you, Eric? I know you have tons of different companies that make your fabrics, or fabrics with your doll.
Yeah. Well, first, I'd like to say, if you haven't checked out the Make Weekends Longer line at Madewell, it is so soft and comfortable. So you definitely should check it out. It definitely makes your weekends longer, makes it feel longer. But yeah, we work with so many different mills. Sometimes people don't realize that we only make fiber, and we're there's so many different people along the supply chain, and then there's the brand at the end. So there's so many different people that it passes through. So we really help the brands with their supply chain. We like to know, what's your MOQ? Where are you looking to source from, so that we can really narrow it down for brands, and then provide them with a list of mills that we think that would be great for them. So it's really connecting the brands with the mills and the spinners, et cetera, to make sure that they are getting our fiber.
Right. So both to Cheryl and Eric again, what kind of systems do you use to authenticate your traceable fibers with brands such as Madewell?
So we at Reprieve, similar to what Erica was mentioned earlier, we add a tracer to our fibers as we're making them. So as I mentioned earlier, we get the plastic bottles, they go through our system, we sort them, we wash them, we chop them into flake, and then we, through our proprietary process, we melt that flake down, we filter out any impurities, and then we create Reprieve resins out of that. And at that time, we add our super secret sauce that we call our DNA, or our fiber print tracer. And then when that resin is then extruded into yarn or fiber, it stays with that fiber and yarn for the life of the product. So then when Madewell or whomever our brand partner is comes to us and says, we would like to co-brand with Reprieve, we're able to send it to a third party for testing. We like to say Reprieve is transparent, traceable, and certified. So we're able to issue what we call You Trust certifications to our partners, so that they have the peace of mind that yes, there is recycled plastic in this fiber, and that any branding that they do on that product is authentic and real. So that's our transparent, traceable, certified process.
Cool. I'm just curious, do you have any idea how many bottles that you use that might go into a yard of fabric?
It's going to depend on the weight of the fabric and what fibers are in the fabric. So it really varies. Reprieve and Unify have recycled over 20 billion bottles about 2007. So we have really made a dent in that recycling, reusing, and reducing waste that is in the environment. Depending on the product, you could have one bottle, like there's one bottle per pair of socks.
Wow.
We made these ourselves. And then sometimes like a sports jersey or a sweatshirt could have upwards of 20 bottles in it. It really depends on the fabric construction and the weight of the fabric.
Yeah.
I can tell you though, Camille, that for our MWL collection, since we launched it in fall 2020 and up until summer 2021, that we're also now getting ready to launch new products using Reprieve, we've recycled 865,000 water bottles.
Wow, amazing. I love that. So Erica, how many trees go into the pulp to use for the fiber into a yard of fabric? I mean, if that's doable.
That's a good question. It's the same thing. It depends on the weight. It depends on the blend. What are you blending it with? I actually don't know, but that would be really interesting to calculate what that would be. I mean, I think that's super impressive too, what Gonzalo was just saying about the plastic bottles. So that's a great question. I'll have to follow up on that.
It's kind of cool to kind of compare everything. So Gonzalo, Madewell announced that by 2025, 100% of the fibers used in the fabrication of your products will be sustainably sourced and free of virgin plastics. What has been your biggest roadblock in moving forward with the goal? Did I say that too fast?
No, that was perfect.
Okay,
I was muted.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a step backwards and really share a little bit of the rationale of why we decided to focus on our raw materials as a sustainability goal. And this was something that really came up by doing a life cycle assessment of our product, where we identified that there were two main points in the use of the products that have the largest environmental impact as far as water and greenhouse gas emissions. The first and largest impact comes from the consumer use phase, and actually comes from the moment that they are doing the home laundering process, which is somehow outside of our control. Even though we work to educate our customers, we are not really possible to make changes and really influence that only. So the second largest impact comes from the raw material phase of garments, and by choosing raw materials that are more sustainable, we knew that we can make a large impact and reduce our environmental impact. So that was a little bit of the why we were focusing on that. And then as far as challenges, this is something that we launched in 2018. Right now we have, by spring 2020, was when we measured last, we know that 60% of our collection uses at least one major sustainable material. And overall, we are covering by fiber volume, 35% of our fibers coming from sustainable sources. But I would say that transitioning a whole new business into sustainable materials takes time. And we're really super proud of the efforts that we've made, and in such a short period of time transition our fibers into more sustainable options. And then one of the things that we also realized was that there are some materials that they are a little bit more challenging in transitioning into more sustainable options, and that's because they are maybe newer to the market. So I'm going to give an example. We are working very closely with Textile Exchange, which is a non-profit organization, and they develop different standards that certified preferred fibers and materials. And in the case of wool, they developed the Responsible Wool Standard, the RWS. And back in 2018, when we had launched our strategy for preferred raw materials, the RWS was a standard that was very recently launched into the market. So it was a little bit challenging actually finding supply of certified wool that we could use into our products. So those were the challenges and the roadblocks that we initially started facing. Right now we are more confident because also we've been implementing this strategy for longer period of time, and that means that there's also more availability of certified materials that we can use for our products.
Wow. That's great. Thank you so much. So I'm going to send this out to all of you. Sustainability. What brands are prioritizing in 2021? Published by Business of Fashion said, this is what they said: the potential to shift to more circular models is set to get an additional boost in 2021 as recycling technologies that have been years in development finally begin to scale. Do you all agree with this statement? And when do you see recycling technologies being fully to scale? So Cheryl, you want to go first? And just a little bit about what you think.
I think that's interesting. I think based on what I've seen, 2021 might feel a little soon for some of those recycling technologies to scale. I'm sure some people would argue with me on that. We've been able to create some circular economies and recycle fabrics from some of our customers for several years. That's not at a huge scale, but we need to make sure that those fabrics are as close to single fiber fabrics as possible. So we're able to take back, for example, like graduation gowns that have been used that are 100% polyester, or cut and sew scraps from 100% polyester. I'm trying to think of an example, like jackets or things of that nature, that then we can put through, we kind of can chop them and put them back through our reprieve process again. It's much harder with multi-fiber fabrics to break those down and to either create new polymers or create new fibers out of them. I am very hopeful. I know that there's a lot of development in that area, that those technologies do come up to speed very quickly and that do scale so that we can reduce the amount of textile waste that is going into our landfills every year. That is a huge environmental problem, and I am very hopeful that that accelerate as quickly as possible.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Erica, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. I was actually reading the January-February 2021 edition of Textile Insight this morning. There was an article that was very similar, saying that 2021 looks to be a breakout year for textile recycling and bringing circularity solutions to scale. I do agree that we'll start seeing these come more to scale. I feel that sustainability as a whole has recently gained a lot of momentum. But what we need to boost circularity and recycling technologies is really the demand for it. So we could have the best fiber that's, recycled and highest quality, but if no one's buying it, then, what good does it do? So really, what we've done at Tencel is in 2017, we launched our Tencel Refibra fiber, which at the time, it was a mix of 20% pre-consumer cotton waste, 80% virgin wood pulp. But due to our great brand partners and other people investing in this, we're able to now increase that to 30% post-consumer and pre-consumer cotton scraps and 70% virgin wood pulp. So as long as the demand stays there for that, we plan by 2024 to be at a 50-50 mix. So I really just think to scale these systems, you have to have the demand for it and the investment that will back it up at the end.
Right. And then Gonzalo, just a little bit, because you've made your point a lot about what you're doing. So what do you think about that? Just a brief statement.
Well, what we see also is that in the market, we already have solutions that are readily available and ready to scale that are coming from like Erica was mentioning Refibra from Lenzing, or our Reprieve fibers that we're using, that they are already recycled fibers. But what we're seeing that's really, I would say, innovative coming into the market are garment-to-garment recycling, which right now is something that's not so common, and less than 1% of garments are then actually recycled back into new garments. And that's where we see the innovation coming, and things that, as I think I kind of agree, Shirley, it may be a little bit early for 2021 for those things to be ready at a large scale in the market. Yeah. But we're always really up to speed and connected with these innovations and these startups that are looking into recycling textiles into new textiles. And that's where we really see that this is something that could maybe disrupt the market and be a great push towards circular economy.
Yeah, and you also mentioned about recycling or using packaging that's sustainable too. So that's really good.
Correct.
I'm finding that more and more that people want that as well. So okay, I'm going to wrap up a little bit now. I just want you each to talk a little bit about something you learned in 2020 in regard to sustainability in fashion. Just a little quote or quip that you have. So go ahead.
Yeah, I'll start. So I actually started with Lenzing and in this industry in February of 2020. So it was a very interesting time to start. I feel like sustainability, the conversations when I started were high, and then they went low, and now they're even higher than they were pre-pandemic. But something I learned was that people, or the consumer, they're not only just interested now in their fibers being sustainable or traceable, they're interested in their whole garment being sustainable. And they're also interested in not only first life, but second life, and so on. So I think that we'll start to see these technologies such as textile genesis or circular ID that use blockchain technology to trace the garment through its whole life. I think we'll start to see that become more and more popular.
Okay, thank you. What
Hearing some feedback. I agree with a lot of what Erica said. I think that what was interesting, if I kind of go back and think through the roller coaster we were all on in 2020, Reprieve has always been a sustainable product, and it's making up a larger and larger proportion of Unify's overall global sales. And so one of the things that I was worried about was, because of the pandemic and because of the economic downturn, would consumers kind of take their foot off the gas? I know that's a terrible metaphor to use, but I'm talking about sustainability, right? Would they stop their acceleration, I'll say, toward more sustainable products because of cost, because of sourcing, because of what have you, comfort, different things that come up because of the pandemic? And what we found, and what I found, was it was exactly the opposite. I feel like consumers really leaned in to a lot of the trends that were building in advance of the global pandemic, particularly around health and wellness, kind of that comfort, all of that I think Madewell picked up on with their Make Weekends Longer.
I love that.
but also into sustainability and into really caring about the environment. So I think that we're going to continue to see that evolution. We're going to continue to see a lot of innovation from a brand perspective, but also from a fiber perspective. And I think that we're all really committed to creating true circular solutions in this industry.
That was great. Thank you. So Gonzalo, anything to add to that? What you might have learned?
Yeah, absolutely. So from our perspective, what we are right now starting to do more research on and starting to focus on is regenerative agriculture. And that is something that is not necessarily new, but we know that it has such an amazing potential to reverse climate change. And, you know, right now with all the climate crisis and the challenges that we are facing overall with that, we know that by focusing on sourcing our natural materials from regenerative agricultural practices, we have an opportunity to reverse climate change and capture carbon into the soil and really working towards biodiversity. So we are really focused on that right now, and we see it as a new opportunity for us to work on our climate action as well. And I think it's a thing that it will be the future of agriculture.
Okay, and I'm definitely going to check out those super brushed garments you have.
Absolutely, they are very comfy, super soft, so amazing to be on all day.
It's all about comfort. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, and I want to thank Cheryl and Erica and Gonzalo, and hope to see you soon in person one of these days. So thank you. Appreciate your time today, and have a good day, good weekend. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Camille.
Okay. Bye.